It's a political statement to be Indian. Seeing as the government spent so many years trying to remove the Indian from the child, trying to silence us, trying to kill us. The residential school did not happen within my generation, but people within my generation still experience the effects of how it damaged their communities. People think that these residential schools happened hundreds of years ago, and that genocide, it exists within a moment in time, and that moment in time was long ago, but the fact is, it's evident, it's fluid, it moves through the generations. But, the last residential school closed in the 90s.
Over the time of our mandate, the Commission heard statements from survivors, gathered documents, and worked to create a number of calls to action aimed at addressing the damage that was done.
In December 2015, Justice Marie Sinclair delivered the final report of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada, a commission like no other in the history of the nation, a final chapter, perhaps, in what is described as Canada's attempt at cultural genocide.
As well as the basic truth that reconciliation is not an Indigenous problem. It is a Canadian one.
I'm on the West Coast to tell the story of a 15-year-old activist, singer, songwriter, and actress, Ta'Kaiya Blaney. She's a Native Children's Survival Ambassador who has been invited to speak to many world leaders.
For centuries, our nations have sustained the familiar cycles of poverty and cultural extinguishment. We, the Indigenous youth, are subjected to colonization and the devastating after effects of residential and boarding schools.
Ta'Kaiya was 7 when she played the role of those taken from their families and sent to residential school. A performance that earned multiple acting award nominations. Her father, Del, is a residential school survivor. Ta'Kaiya has heard his stories, but this will be her first chance to walk in the halls of his childhood.
There were kids here that were 6 years old all the way to grade 12.
Was the motto back then, play, explore, and learn?
Yeah, it was more terrorized.
For more than a century, Canada worked jointly with Christian churches to kill the Indian and the child. Generations of Indigenous children were taken away from their families and communities. Residential schools aim to assimilate Indigenous youth into Euro-Christian Canadian society.
What's the air like in here for you?
It smells the same. It's like heavy, that heavy feeling. And here they used to have little kitchens, and we'd sneak in there and make some cookies. My cubicle was in here. A lot of us used to come out here and just look down at like right here. Yeah. A lot of people would just sit there on the cement and look at the trains going by or the river and think, wow, we can jump on one of those trains and go home.
St. Mary's Residential School closed in 1985. It was the last to operate in British Columbia.
A lot of kids, were away from their parents at a very young age, and, there's a lot of sorrow. So I think a lot of kids that went through these schools, they could have been, masters in art or music or whatever. but they just weren't given that opportunity or that chance to express themselves.
Over 150,000 children were alienated from their cultural values and identity. A cultural genocide affecting successive generations.
When I used to come here, I used to, I would have pressure in my chest, because, there's a lot of hurt in these places.
We know what happened. We can feel what happened. It's just heavy, and it stays in the air, and it stays within the community for generations. And I see how we're finally coming alive, and we're recognizing what happened to our peoples, and we're trying to move forward and demand for action.
Now that survivors have found the strength and courage to share their experiences, a new generation has been awakened.
I grew up in the midst of a land struggle between my nation and the Canadian government, making false claims to partake in a treaty with my people, resulting in the loss of nationhood and of the only specified Indigenous rights implemented in Canada, as well as 97.7% of our territory. This is degrading to our human rights. Isolated Indigenous Inuit youth communities alone commit to some of the highest rates of suicide in the world. Indigenous peoples are in a constant hidden war with governments, and children fall major victims to such wars.
Critical thinking and family support, combined with creator-given talent, resulted in Ta'Kaiya's response to the needs of our time. We traveled 4 hours north of Vancouver to the Sliammon Nation. Home to Ta'Kaiya's native roots. A place where she is warmly embraced. Being raised in the city, returning has always been a chance for Ta'Kaiya to receive enriched cultural instruction from her Kukpa, which awakened her to the many issues of her people and the environment.
Some good trout there, some sea trout we called them. That's where we used to set our net. Catch all kinds of spring salmon, coho. There's no more dugouts here. Or the canoes. Back in the time, everyone owned a dugout. Everybody had one. Behind the reserve, it was just full of trees and cedar, and the new government, they sold all the rights.
Hearing about this, but also hearing the sounds of the voices, hearing the emotions, it felt like the elders were talking about a dear friend who had recently died. There was always this sense of loss.
In the wake of the residential school, the community's integrity has been tested and its cultural linkages weakened.
Things were free. They were our right, and we had every right to go and catch fish and dig clams. But now, because of the new government and the new politicians in our band offices, they make deals with the federal and provincial government that we have to go and get licenses, just to go and dig clams or cut wood or catch fish.
In 2012, a modern-day treaty between Canada and the Sliammon people was ratified by little more than half of the community. History books will tell the story of democracy at work, when in reality, it left the community divided.
Well, this is it, we're losing it. They're signing off on our territories and all that, and there'll be no more land for our next 7 generations. Yeah, we used to cut fish right here. And from there, it goes inside to smoke. In here. Watch out, there's no, so maybe there's a bear in there.
Get the dog.
Right there was the fire. And this is where we hang the fish, eh? And most of the culture myself, I forget, my teachings and that. Yeah.
So with the lack of fish and this being an every year thing, what would you replace this with for your granddaughter? Like, what do you replace it with?
Education. The more education she gets, the better off she will be. Honesty and the truth you get from her, she does speak the truth. And there's no lie in it.
And it inspires them to.
This is the feather of truth
Yeah.
that went into BC Supreme Court.
Oh, really?
I held that in court. They didn't want to believe the truth. Yeah, they believed in the lies instead. But we tried.
Being given a feather of truth at such a young age comes with responsibility. A responsibility that her grandfather is now passing on to Ta'Kaiya.
I try and speak as a Sliammon person, as someone who is proud of their ancestors. But I do not speak for the Sliammon nation, and I am proud of my nation, but I'm not proud of what's happened to it. Our nations don't exist the moment that you sign away that land. The moment that you stop taking responsibility for being Indigenous person, you no longer belong to a people's. You're just a person selling property.
In spite of the multiple challenges her nation is facing, Ta'Kaiya's resilience and integrity is growing. She is turning the trial of her people into a fuel for her passion, a passion that has been driving her to become a voice for the land and the new generation. At 10 years old, she wrote her first song.
Ever since she was 4 years old, she learned how to speak. Use your voice, she says, to everybody in the world that she knows that the wrong is happening. Say something for the whales, salmon, animals. Let us be the voice.
I was lucky enough to have a reference point for how our people once were, to know that we were once a proud peoples, and there's no excuse for not organizing together and trying to get back to that place. And when I say there's no excuse, I don't mean that it's going to be easy.
This young woman is now walking alongside her ancestors, sharing their wisdom with the world. This young woman is now sharing her ancestors' wisdom with the world. Her conviction to speak out for the environment has taken her to the United Nations, television appearances, and meetings with world leaders.
We are at a time of need for change. I think regardless of any type of political agenda, you can still recognize injustice.
Speak the language of practices. Mother Earth won't heal without art.
And I think change is the fuel that ignites the speed of our societies to match the momentum of our times, and our times called to be changed by new innovation, new ideas, the new generation and their blueprints for improving their world and making it magic again. And maybe it's naive to believe that we can change the world, but I think the only thing that is unreasonable about it is to believe that we can do so alone.
I do feel optimistic about the future of my nation because I feel like there are more and more youth who are interested in their culture. When you practice that culture, when you speak that language, you're surrounded. You're surrounded by the ancestors. You're surrounded by the elders. You're not alone anymore.
When you are young with so much to say, art is often a good way to express yourself. With so much energy and passion, music has quickly become a great way for Ta'Kaiya to share her message with the world.
I think that music is something that is so universal, that is so internalized, but is one of the ingredients that's in the fabric of our society. You have countries who can be corrupt and they still have a national anthem.
Time to take a breath from home, live a government action. Let's raise our voice, speak to get a reaction. Mother Earth can't take a word, so we must be silent no more. Silent no more, silent no more, silent no, I don't know more solidarity.
You can have people who don't really associate themselves with music itself, but at the same time, every now and then, they'll hear a song and they'll feel like it's true.
Elders and children all unite to keep alive.
Well, there's Caucasoids, there's Negroids, and there's Mongoloids.
Family support played a huge role in Ta'Kaiya's life. Ta'Kaiya's parents homeschooled her, enabling her to develop her full potential, and it's evident in her philosophy and musical talent, two gifts she shares with her community and the world.
I want us to go making a difference. I
Music has no frontiers, and her new song Earth Revolution was launched at the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Paris in 2015.
know we have solutions.
Generation now, children of the future, Earth revolution.
This is the anthem she is proposing to the youth. It is her call to action, a song to unite her generation in the revolution to protect our Earth.
The idea of children from all around the world, most of them in their national dress singing Earth Revolution, it's the idea of bringing in the dawn of a new time.
Generation now, children of the future, Earth revolution.
That revolution doesn't have to be this type of obligation that brings us down, but it can be this beautiful reinvention of the current ways of the world that can be really exciting to be a part of, to see that unity of humanity, to see how, when together, we can move mountains.
In this young woman, I see an old soul, as if the Indian they tried to kill in residential schools is back with a million-strong voice in the new generation.
I don't know more. It's about us standing up and speaking up. We've never really been asleep, and now more than ever, we're awake and we're standing up.
Canada's objective was to assimilate the Indigenous people of this country. Ironically, they created a generation of proud, purposeful, and resilient youth. A generation ready to take on all comers as giants, with the strength, pride, and freedom of their ancestors.